Hi everyone and welcome to Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host Anthony Gamer and I'm Larry the Lion. And in today's episode we're going to be discussing parody games. So the question is, what is a parody? Well, it's, hold on a minute. What's the matter? Who's that? Oh, him? Yeah. Oh, this is Squatchy. You mean Sasquatch? Yeah, he's a friend of Red's, and Red and, his wife Rita asked me to look after him for a while. What's the matter? I just never thought I'd see a live Sasquatch. Yep, he is. But like I said, Rita and Red asked me to take care of him for a while. How come? Well, he eats a lot. Oh, I can relate. Hi there, Squatchy. Not a big talker, is he? No, he really doesn't say much. He usually just grunts and grumbles a lot. See? I don't know if he can talk or not. I'm going to have to try to configure that device I got on the computer. Oh, yeah. You mean the one that you use to, when you talk to Chuggles? Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get it. I can sync it for Sasquatch. Okay. Anyway, okay, so the big question is, what is a parody? Well, a parody is also called a spoof, a send-up, a takeoff, a lampoon, a play on something, a caricature, or a joke, is a work which is created to imitate, make fun of, or comment on an original work, its subject, author, style, or some other target by means of satiric or ironic imitation. Wow, you just said a mouthful. Yeah, you could say that again. Wow, no. All right. Anyway, satire has been around for quite a while, as there have been several books that we consider classics that were satirical in nature. Now, as far as parodies and songs go, probably one of the single most well-known parody songwriters has to be
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep, that's right, Weird Al Yankovic. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Well, I am too. What's interesting about Weird Al is he has actually outlasted most of the people that he is parodied. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, as a lot of times he does, pop songs and stuff from a particular time period, and then they fade away. But he's still going. Yep, he sure is. And speaking of Weird Al, that brings us to today's trivia question. Weird Al developed nationwide attention because of the help of what syndicated radio program? You think you know the answer? Wait till the end and see if you're correct. So it made sense that eventually they would make parody video games, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, without further ado, let's get into the games. You ready? Yeah, I sure am. Well, let's do it.
And our first game for today is Dear Avenger from 1998, released by Simon & Schuster Interactive. Alright, in this particular game, you take on the role of Bambo, who is kind of a combination of Bambi and Rambo, as you are hunting the hunters.
Hey there.
You look for signs of the hunter, then you use calls, fart noises, and whatever else you can do to lure them out.
Drunky.
And then, of course, you blast them.
Now this would make a lovely golf course.
Don't run off and cry to Mom. Time to cancel the country club membership, Tad.
A year later, they followed it up with Deer Avenger 2, Deer in the Big City. Now, the story behind this game is that some hunters ran over your girlfriend, and the deer has gone back to the city to avenge her death. Unlike the first game, though, you don't have a regular rifle or bazooka or even a slingshot. You have a gun that shoots tranquilizer darts. I guess they kind of figured at that time period doing shootings was a bad thing in the city or whatever. Anyway, the game's a lot of fun, but it's a lot more difficult because in this game they shoot back at you, and the only way to regain your energy is by shooting at the salt shakers. Yeah, overall I have to say the game is a lot of fun, but it's a lot more difficult than the first one.
I wonder what would happen if I passed a little gas. Attaboy.
The video game Myst that came out in the mid-90s had to be one of the most successful computer games of all time, up to that point. Millions of people played the game, which was a point-and-click adventure type game with puzzle elements, and it quickly became a worldwide phenomenon. Although you don't hear much about it anymore because there's been several games like it since, but in the mid-90s, Myst was the game. So let's look at a parody of the game Myst. Just imagine, now those of you that have played it, you'll understand, imagine 4 million people have gone to Myst Island to play the game Myst. What happens when they leave?
You have Pissed, which was released in 1996 by Parody Interactive and was written by Peter Bergman, the co-founder of the Fire Sign Theater, and it stars John Goodman. Okay, so the creators of the game decided that they wanted to have fans experience Myst in a whole new light. So a lot of the jokes and a lot of the places in this game are not going to be familiar to you unless you've actually played Myst.
Yeah, but I think probably a lot of people that watch our channel probably have played it in the past.
Yeah, believe it or not, I didn't play it until a couple years ago. I was in college at the time the game came out, and I didn't really get to play a lot of games, but I finally did, and I'll tell you what, I found it to be a lot of fun, but quite challenging. Not to the point that I wanted to throw the computer, but I came pretty close, so...
Now, it's not exactly a game in the literal sense, because all you do is walk around these areas on the island that have been trashed, and they have a lot of jokes that mostly people in the 90s will get, and probably younger people won't. And it's mostly just a point and click, like you click on something and something funny happens or something or like that. There is a music video by John Goodman at the end called "I'm Pissed," which is actually kind of a cool song. Overall, like I said, if you are not a fan or familiar with the game Myst, you're probably not gonna get it.
And in 1997, Parody Interactive was back again with their next parody game, and that was Starwarp. Alright, now the game is set in Modesto, California, and the narrators of the game are two diehard Star Wars fans. They kind of act like Beavis and Butthead, which of course was big at the time.
Are we gonna do a video about them?
Of course we are. Now, the two narrators are named Brian, who is voiced by Brian Posen, and Aaron, who is voiced by Robbie Riss. The two compiled their favorite snagged, borrowed, and stolen Star Wars merchandise, and the player can interact with these items. And they have a bunch of mini-games on there. My personal favorite is the one you're looking at here called Whack the Ewok, as a lot of traditional Star Wars fans were not big on these cute little cuddly creatures, even though they did save the rebels at the end of my least favorite movie, Return of the Jedi. Still, a lot of Star Wars fans really didn't like them. You also have Flawed Fighters, which is a spoof of fighting games like Mortal Kombat. Now, the characters in that are a little on the interesting side, to say the least. Now, the characters for that game are Leia I. Joe, a Princess Leia and G.I. Joe spoof, Cool Handless Luke Skywalker with a missing hand, and a pun on the film, Cool Hand Luke, I get it, and Pizza Flipping Greedo. They have all kinds of interesting other items that you can find, like scrap scripts, Gene Splicer, where you actually combine the characters into into a new character. Then they have some other mini games. Now the other mini games are kind of cool too. You have You Don't Know Jedi, which is set up like a game show spoofing You Don't Know Jack, which was a big computer game at the time. Death Star Destructo, X-Wing, and Dork Forces. Overall, I have to say the game is a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of laughs. Now, you don't necessarily have to be a serious Star Wars fan to get all the jokes.
Yeah, you can be like a casual fan.
Right, but it does help. And keep in mind, though, this game was made before they released Star Wars Episode 1, so there's not really much about the prequels. This basically was about the first Star Wars trilogy, even though they make some comic references to some later movies. But anyway, so yeah, I highly recommend this. One quick other note I wanted to add, it is a little buggy on newer computers, so with a few tweaks you can get it to work. And next, from 1997, also by Parody Interactive, we have XFiles The Spoof is Out There. Alright, so it's pretty obvious that this game is a parody of the supernatural television series The X-Files, which ran from 1993 to 2002. Now in this game, it centers around two ex-FBI agents and skeptics named Mully and Scudder. I like that. Yeah, me too. They encourage the player, you, to undergo training as a new recruit. So you have to play quite a few mini games, take some quizzes, and watch some skits. If you're a big fan of the show, you'll catch a lot of the jokes and a lot of the references. But it's not really necessary, because some of the mini games are, like you're looking at one right now. This is, what's it called? Hold on a second. It's called Run Agent Run, which this is, of course, a spoof of Pac-Man and other such maze games that have, of course, always been around in the video game world. But overall, like I said, it's a really fun game. It really does help to be a big X-Files fan, because you're not really going to catch some of the jokes. And I wasn't a big X-Files fan. My wife is.
Yeah, for some reason mine is too.
And so they might get a lot more out of it than I would, or some other people that aren't really fans. But overall, the game is a lot of fun. And whether you're a fan of the show or not, you may become one after playing this game. Okay, now the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was a big hit in the late 90s and early 2000s. Actually, the show's still going on, as far as I know.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, but they've had a variety of hosts over the years. Now, in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, many of you, I'm sure, have watched it. You answer questions to win $1 million. Now, this one takes a little bit of a spin on it, as the objective of this game is to answer multiple choice questions correctly by using the buzzer. Following this, the player beats up a millionaire. The object of the game is to assault the millionaire sufficiently so that they drop off the game's ladder, and you are the winner. So in other words, you're trying to bankrupt the millionaire, and by doing that, you just beat the snot out of them. Now, a lot of the characters in here are, of course, parodies of real people. You have Egregious Villain, who is the host and is a parody of Regis Philbin. Sheikh Abdul Chickpea, Middle Eastern oil magnate. Daisy Mae LaPlume, a parody of Anna Nicole Smith. Rich Little Weasel III, a generic trust fund kid. Melvin.com, a parody of Bill Gates. And Ronald Hump, a parody of Donald Trump. And like the original game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you only have one chance to get the question right. You lose one question, you lose the game. But you do have lifelines, just like the TV show. You have one or the other, eliminates two incorrect answers. Pass the buck and chicken out, give the question to another contestant, or swap the question out for a new one. And fortune cookie, which gives the player a hint. Overall, I have to say the game is a whole lot of fun. I just went at it the first time I got it. Surprisingly, this was only ported to computers, except it was actually ported to the Sega Dreamcast. But that was it. No other consoles got it. Now, honestly, one of the problems with this game, and it's not really a problem technically or anything like that, is a lot of the references are to 90s pop culture, so some of the younger people playing this might not get a lot of the questions right, and they also reference 80s stuff. So this is more of a game for people that were actually around in the 90s.
200K left.
But you can still have fun trying, as there are questions that are about history and all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and really for some people, beating up a certain person may give them a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, that's true. And our final game for today is a classic in its own right, and that is Rampage from 1986 from Bally Midway, programmed by Jeff Nauman and designed by Brian Collin and Jeff Nauman. Now, of course, many of you are familiar with this game and probably have played it hundreds of times. In this game, you take control of a trio of gigantic monsters trying to survive against onslaughts of military forces. Now, the creator, Brian Collins, said he took inspiration from monster films King Kong and 20 Million Miles to Earth. Now, the characters in the game are George, a King Kong-like gigantic gorilla transformed by an experimental vitamin, Lizzie, a Godzilla-like dinosaur lizard transformed by a radioactive lake, and Ralph, a giant werewolf transformed by a food additive. That got something out of him.
Yeah, what's mean?
Okay, anyway. So, as these monsters, you need to raise all the buildings in a city and advance to the next level or next city. You eat people, destroy helicopters, tanks, taxis, police cars, boats, and trolleys along the way. The game itself was a big success, which was surprising because Bally Midway hadn't really had any major successes after the video game crash, but this one really did do pretty well. As a matter of fact, it did so well that in 2018, it inspired a film. Now, ordinarily, I'm kind of weary about video game movies because sometimes they're really, really bad, and you kind of wonder if the people that made it actually even played the game. But I have to tell you the truth, I love that movie.
Yeah, just about any movie with The Rock is probably going to be good.
Oh, yeah, just about. I really can't really remember off the top of my head a movie starring The Rock that I didn't like. Well, there was a couple. But anyway, so, of course, all you classic gamers out there, you know about this game. You've probably played it hundreds of times, but if we got some young people out there, give this game a try. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's just lots of destruction and just a good old time for all. So check it out if you get a chance.
Also, don't forget about the ports.
Oh yeah, this game was actually so successful that it was ported out to just about every game system, every computer system from that time period. So it's actually easier to say which computer system and game systems this game wasn't ported for. So as I said, give it a try and let me know what you think of the game in the comment section below, or share some of your memories of playing this game back in the day.
And the answer to today's trivia question, what is the name of the syndicated radio show that helped Weird Al Yankovic get nationwide attention? And the answer is
Dr. Demento. This radio show had lots of songs that were novelty, funny, silly, crazy, whatever. And he was the gentleman that helped Weird Al get his big break.
Well, that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of Classic Gamer 74. I really hope you all enjoyed it.
I sure did.
If you did, you know what to do. Give us a great big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon at the bottom so you'll be notified when we upload new episodes.
In our next episode, we'll be starting a new series about classic computers. This was suggested by a couple of you, the subscribers. And the first computer we're going to discuss is probably the first computer many of you were ever exposed to, the Apple IIe. So you will not want to miss that.
Well, until next time,
Hold on a minute.
what?
I really think he can talk.
Well, I've been trying to talk to him since, I got him from Red and Rita, and he hasn't said anything other than grunting and growling.
Maybe he can't talk. I give up.
Okay, whatever you say. He died here all the years spent.
Was that you?
No, it wasn't me. I think it was him. Yeah, it was me. What did you expect me to say? I guess something intelligent, but, we'll take it as we can get it. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, and we will see each and every one of you in the next episode. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and take precautions when you have to leave the house. And we will see you next time. I'm Anthony Gamer.
I'm Larry the Lion.
And my name is Squatchy. And we will see you in the next episode. Till then, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.